everybody. Welcome to Odd and Untold, the podcast where we talk about all things strange and spooky. And this week, I want to get back into some UFO sightings. And as always, when I'm doing these shows, I try to look for sightings and weird phenomenon around anywhere that I visit. And last week, we were in the Pocono Mountains, Tobyhanna, near Lake Carobeth, and it was a cool family vacation. We didn't go camping this year, but we rented a lake house and we did some swimming and some boating and campfires every night. It was just great. Like all of us were in the same house. So it was kind of like we got the camping experience with the lake and being out on boats and doing the campfire at night. But we also had, beds and running water and real bathrooms. So it was fun. The whole family had a great time. And I'd done an episode a few weeks back about Bigfoot sightings in the Pocono Mountains, and there were a few, none really around where we stayed. But, we're out there, we're on the dock at night, we're looking up at the sky. You can see a lot of stars, more than you can see here in the city, obviously. And it got me thinking about UFO sightings. So I said, let me see if there's any UFO sightings around Tobyhanna in the Poconos. And there are. So I'm going to talk about a few of those tonight. So it's going to be a shorter episode just because I've been on vacation. I've been dealing with some health issues. So back and forth to the doctor and doing lab testing and stuff like that. And there are days I really don't feel good at all. And then there are days I feel fine. So today's a day where I'm feeling not 100%, but I'm feeling okay. So I figured I'd do an episode. But yeah, I've kind of been up and down with my health. And like I said, there's been days where all I could do is lay down and try to rest. And then other days I feel okay. So when I can do things, I try to do them. And luckily, while we were on vacation, for the most part, I was feeling good. And then right after the vacation, like Thursday, Friday, I was starting to not feel great again. So it's been a little bit of a roller coaster for me, but I am hoping that the doctors are starting to zero in on what's really going on and we can maybe get it fixed. So with all that said, let's get into some UFO sightings in the Pocono Mountains. Okay, so once again, I'm using the New Fork National UFO Reporting Center database. I've used this in other episodes as well, and it's really cool. If you want to guys, if you guys want to check it out, it's newfork.org, and I'll put a link to it down below. But they have, a map, and you can just kind of zero in on the map and just look for sightings. So that's what I did. I looked at Tobyhanna, and there were 4 sightings. So I'm going to go over these tonight. We're going to start with the most recent and work our way back. So not a lot, and the most recent one is from 2017. So not to say people haven't seen UFOs up there, but the most recent officially reported one on here is from 2017. So we'll get into this one. So yeah, this was August 15th of 2017. Location is in Tobyhanna. So this person saw an orb, lights on the object, aura or haze around the object. So they say, definite UFO just seen. I live out here in the mountains, about 2,000 feet up. So it's perfect for night viewing, and there's always interesting stuff out here, it seems. I've seen meteors burn up several times, but this was no meteor. It was a lighted object, just as faint as some of the stars out there, but it was moving. I couldn't believe my eyes at first because it literally looked that far away, like it was one of the stars that are hundreds of light years away, but was moving from due south to due north and then out of view. I got my cell phone, but the light from it was faint and wouldn't even come into view on there. It was definitely not a meteor or asteroid because it moved in a straight line from south to north, and never was there any fainting of the solid light. It was of the same color, white or yellow, the whole time. No blinking or blinking lights of any kind either. Planes fly through here all the time, and this was no plane from this planet. It honestly just looked like an orb or of light moving from south to north, but it was very far away, it seemed. The light on the object may have been from the sun setting as well, as the sun set like an hour or more ago, but up that high, I could see how the sun could reflect things from that angle. There was also no sound. This was amazing and my first official UFO sighting. And they say he can be emailed or she could be emailed back, but they want to remain anonymous. So this one, I've seen stuff like this too, and a lot of people will report this. They'll see like what they think is a star because it has that same, single solid light, that same brightness. Planes are typically much brighter than stars, even when they're high up. But I've seen this, I've heard other people talk about this, where they're looking at the stars and then suddenly one of the stars will start moving. And he's saying it was like white or yellow. I would suggest maybe this could have been a satellite because satellites can look like very faint stars and they move, fairly consistently because they're in orbit. I don't know if you could really see satellites in Tobyhanna. I mean, we were there. We could see more stars than you could see in the city, but there's still a fair amount of light pollution um, in the Poconos. There's just little towns. There's light, and I could see more stars, but it wasn't this, totally dark sky where you could see thousands of stars. There are places like that. I mean, there are places in the Adirondacks that I've been to where it looks like a planetarium. I mean, there's just so many stars and you can just see so much detail. Tobyhanna wasn't quite like that. Again, better than the city, but not perfect for viewing. But satellites are pretty faint. So I don't know if that's what he saw or she saw. Um, and again, meteors, asteroids, they burn up. They usually leave a trail, shooting star, things like that. This sounds like it was more consistently moving. So interesting. It could have been a plane very high up, especially if it's that high up. You may not hear the sound uh, from the engines if it's that high up. Interesting that he's thinking that it could be the sun, where it's dark where he is, but if this thing's high up enough, it might still be catching some sunlight. So I'm not sure what to make of this one. It seems like it could be any number of things. It's a UFO, if you want to go by the strictest definition of the term, unidentified flying object. There's an object that was flying and we don't know what it is. So doesn't mean it's from outer space or extraterrestrial or alien in origin. Just not sure what it was. It could have just been a plane very high up or a satellite. Again, I don't know what the light pollution situation was there in 2017, but now I don't think you'd be able to see a satellite. But that's just me. So, what do you guys think? Let me know down below, and we'll move on to our next story. All right, so this one is also from 2017. This is July 29th of 2017. Again, Tobyhanna, 3 observers. Took around 90 seconds for the duration of this UFO. The shape was a sphere. Characteristics, light on object. So they say amber round lights, 4 in straight line formation. There were amber/gold round lights traveling from northwest to southeast, solid color, no flashing, and totally silent. One light, then approximately 30 seconds later, followed by 2 closer together, and 30 seconds after that, followed by another single one. Appeared to be much lower than most planes and in a completely different flight path than any planes observed during our 18 years residence at this location. Vector was approximately halfway between horizon and apex of sky towards the west. All 4 lights were moving in a straight line formation, witnessed by 3 adults on a clear night. Some video recorded on cell phone. Unfortunately, there's no video here, and cell phone videos at night of lights in the sky. I mean, this is 2017, so you're talking 7 years ago. Things have gotten better, but even on like my modern iPhone, taking pictures of the night sky or video of the night sky is almost impossible. Pictures, at least you can get that longer exposure. You can set your camera on your phone to get the longer exposure and you can kind of see stars. But when you're taking video, it kind of gets washed out. And I mean, I saw something in the Adirondacks and I was trying to take video of it. And when me, Josh, and Dustin saw this purple light up in the Adirondacks, and again, it was very high up. It kind of looked like a star at first, but it was purple, and then it changed to white, and then it just kind of shot off. But trying to take that video at night with a cell phone, the stars and the lights in the sky, typically, if they're not, they have to be really bright. And if they're not bright enough, the phone video camera is not going to pick it up. So I'm guessing maybe he submitted the video to this site and it was just hard to see anything at all. So they're not going to, they're not going to post it here. But again, this doesn't sound like planes. It doesn't sound like flares. I mean, these are things that are moving. They were amber. Flares are usually more of a red color. So no flashing, totally silent. Lights appearing one after the other. People these days will see a row of lights in the sky and be like, "Oh my God, it's UFO," and it's just Skylink. It's just Elon Musk, with his internet service satellites up there, and you'll see it looks like a train of lights, but this is only 4. So interesting. Not sure what to make of it. Again, this could be any number of things. if they were high enough up, they could have been planes that just weren't making any sound. But again, people live there for a long time. You get to learn the flight patterns. I mean, even here in the city, you learn the flight patterns. And when there's a plane going an odd way, you notice it. You're like, hey, why is, probably just circling the airport, but it's, noticeable. And this is interesting because there's one, then two more show up, and then a fourth one. And we hear that a lot in these UFO reports that you'll see one light and then more will join it and then they disappear. So very strange. Again, not the best sighting, but not the worst. It's again unidentified. We don't know what these are. Does not sound like a plane. Does not sound like a helicopter. Drones maybe. I don't know, but you'd think you would hear little propellers unless they were far enough away. So who knows? What do you guys think? Okay, so UFO sighting number 3 from Tobyhanna. This comes to us from July 26th of 2013. So now we're going back like 11 years. So this is a light. Person reports, lighted object in the southwest sky looked like a star, but moved southward and slowly faded out, then moved north 10 minutes later. Since it's nighttime, all I was legitimately able to see was a round light, almost identical to the star next to it. It basically just looked like a star in the night, but moved south and slowly disappeared. The light faded to complete darkness over about a 7-second duration. About 10 minutes later, another light object, possibly the same one, moved back north from the same area that the other one disappeared at. But the brightness of the light was only about half as bright this time. Both objects moved in a straight line, but were definitely not planes because of how high up they were. And the lighted objects were one solid bright color the whole time, no blinking or anything. The location of these objects were almost directly from looking straight up into the sky, but to the southwest a bit. I mentioned 15-minute duration because of the difference in time between the first and second objects. My first time witnessing anything like this before, and I'll admit it shocked me a bit. So as I mentioned earlier, and this person says it here too, they think it's a star. It looks like a star, and then it moves. And I've seen this before too. And I have this app like Flight Radar. My brother Jeff has it too. So when you see a plane going overhead, you can kind of track and see where it's going. So it could be a commercial plane, it could be a small plane. Most planes you will be able to see. Some of them are not on Flight Radar. They're not registered. And I don't know if that's military. I don't know if that's, top secret type stuff. But there was one time at my house on Staten Island, we were outside and just looking up in the sky and there's this star. And then all of a sudden it just starts like moving, like booking it, like real fast and no other blinking lights. It was just a solid light and it just looked like a star. And like I said, in the city here, the light pollution is bad. You're not going to see a satellite. It definitely wasn't a satellite. It looked like not the brightest star in the sky, but also not the dimmest one either. And it started moving and pulled up Flight Radar and it was not there. So it's not a registered plane. So we don't know what it was. But like I said, you hear these stories a lot where people will see what they think is a star and then it moves. And this one's interesting because it kind of moves and then fades out and then comes back. Like it was off doing, running an errand or something, and then it comes back, not as bright. And, at nighttime, it is hard to judge distance. It's hard to say how high up something is. We can guess based on context clues and other things in the area, but it can be very difficult if you're just seeing a bright light in the dark sky to tell exactly how high up it is, because a satellite can look like a star, and a satellite is, can be measured in miles from the surface of the earth, whereas a star is measured in like light years. It's just so far away. So it's hard to judge distance, but I think most people recognize what is a plane, a terrestrial object, and what is just odd moving in the sky. And again, the satellite's not going to come back. And maybe it was two different objects. Maybe it was the same object. Who knows? But again, an interesting one. And it does illustrate my point that, look in the sky and sometimes you will see these stars just move and they're not stars. I don't know what they are, but they look like stars. And if you just look for a split second, they're stars. But if you stare at them long enough, not too long, because then even stationary stars will look like they're moving. But, you get that point of reference and you'll see things moving. So sounds like that's what this person saw. Not sure what to make of this one. Again, not the best sighting, but interesting. But who knows what it could have been. Okay, so the fourth sighting, this is from 2004, just the day after Christmas, 12/26, 2004. One observer, looks like it only took about 5 seconds, but it was in Tobyhanna. It was a light, it had an aura or haze around the object, and it left a trail. So I will read this one. Red light in the sky. I was smoking a cigarette on my back deck, looking toward my backyard, which is fairly woodland, but not dense. Then all of a sudden, in the background, I seen a red light that seemed to appear from behind the house in back of me, past my lot. It didn't come from that house, but a fair distance away. The red light rose at a pretty fast pace, but not extremely fast, almost a perfect line, but wiggled a little bit from side to side, not drastic. It looked like it left a small trail from its path, but it was snowing out, so I can't say for certain. Then all of a sudden, it stopped in midair for a second, then it was gone. I didn't see it after that second because I turned around to open the door and yelled to my parents. It left, in my words, a red circle where it did stop for around, I would say, 10 seconds. Then the red circle trail dissipated. I thought after scrutinizing my sighting that it might have been a firework or maybe a flare. We do have a small airport where we are, but not near the direction where I was looking, north. It did not make a sound, no explosion, nothing like a firework makes. And if I remember, aeronautical flares stay lit for much longer than what I have seen. It was very spooky. I had goosebumps all over my body. If anybody's seen this light at the same time I did, leave a post. It might have been a flare, but it didn't feel like one. And it definitely wasn't a small airplane. No flashing lights, no noise, and it was much too bright. Any information regarding this sighting would be very useful and put me at ease. So, again, you have someone here who's not sure what they're looking at. They're trying to rationalize this. Maybe it was a firework, maybe it was a flare, but the brain is saying, no, it's not these things. Could it be that? I mean, it's snowing. This, let me see if it says what time at night. So this looked like, 11 after 11 o'clock at night. So it's a little late for fireworks. A flare, yeah, flares have a very distinct look. This reminds me of the red light that John and I saw up at Phantom Lake that we thought was like the top red light of a new radio tower or phone tower or, whatever in the distance. And just this red light kind of hanging out there for a long time. And then it started moving. This one left a trail. But again, he's saying it's snowing. So maybe the light is just bouncing off snow and making it look like there's a trail. Who knows? But, this one's interesting because it moves and then it stays stationary and then it moves and then it disappears and it leaves a red circle. It's just weird. And again, a firework, anybody who's seen fireworks knows they don't last 10 seconds. They go and it's a second or two. I mean, you see them, but they're very transitory. It's over very quickly. And a flare is going to last a lot longer than this. A flare is just going to fall and it's going to be lit the whole time. And just, doesn't sound like a flare. And he's saying it didn't feel like one. So I'm going to trust the observer here. They live there. They probably know what the planes are doing. Doesn't sound like a flare. Just very interesting that it left a circle or a trail. And I do like that this person tried to debunk it, tried to figure out like, what could this have been? Could this have been a firework? Could this have been a flare? But they're kind of spooked by it and don't really want to figure out what it is. I mean, they do want to figure out what it is, but they're scared. And they know what's in the sky out there. People live there. So I thought that one was interesting too, just because it reminded me of the red light that John and I had seen. All right, everybody. So those are our 4 UFO reports from Tobyhanna in the Pocono Mountains, Pennsylvania. I'm going to cut it short there today. Like I said, it's been a rough week for me, so I'm doing a little bit of a shorter episode this week. But I wanted to tie it into my vacation because it was an awesome vacation with the family. We had a lot of fun. Took my niece out on the canoe and rode her around the lake a bunch of times, and we had campfires at night. Me, my dad, my brother Jeff, we were up until like 1 a.m. every night, just working the campfire and talking and laughing, and just a great trip and very relaxing and much needed for myself, and I think for everybody in my family. We just needed like a nice, relaxing vacation together and have fun with the kids and each other, and lots of good food, lots of good times, campfires. I love campfires, so that was great. And yeah, I just, like I said, I like tying things into places that I go to where I've never been before, or where I have been before many times, like Bantam Lake. Uh, but it just makes it a little bit more personal for me. And I just think it's cool to go to new places and just look at the local legends, whether it's Bigfoot or haunted places or weird places or UFOs like tonight. So, yeah, 4 sightings on this database around Tobyhanna. We didn't see anything. Um, Again, we saw some stars. We saw the Big Dipper. Nothing strange happened to us there, except for the deer coming like right up to us. The deer are just so friendly there. And I guess in this around this lake, there's a lot of vacation homes, and I'm guessing people and visitors feed them a lot because the deer were just coming like right up to us, like we were nothing, like they were dogs, just very close to us. They weren't really afraid. So a very cool trip, and just wanted to tie that all in. So in the meantime, everybody question everything, question these sightings. Again, they're cool. They're all seem to be nighttime sightings of just distinct lights. Are they alien spacecraft? Are they just something else? Are people misidentifying actual planes or satellites or something else? Let me know what you guys think down below, and we will see you next week. Rock and roll.